So one of the things I know about myself is that I definitely express myself better in writing than I do verbally, which is something I'm trying to work on. So with that being said, I just wanted to make a quick statement about things that were said last episode, just because I feel like I can summarize it a little bit more than I was able to with a lot of, because again, big broad topic.
Right, exactly.
So essentially, I was just saying that we live in a country where the system of capitalism created and continues to directly lead to the conditions that keep members of the black community between a rock and a hard place. While I do agree with my mom that there are internal changes that we can and should make in order to improve ourselves. So
I agree with you, and we're going to agree and disagree at the same time.
Yeah, that works. So moving on to our story for this week. I recently interviewed for a friend's podcast called Steven Interviews Cool People.
Oh, nice. Am I next?
I figured you were going to have something to say because I know I hadn't even told you about that yet, but I'll send you the link.
Okay.
And then also I'll include it in our show notes so y'all out there can check that out if you are interested. But during that conversation, I specifically mentioned that black women are the most important identity group to me. Mm-hmm. And I have to admit that is definitely like a very recent discovery for me. Mm-hmm. I also mentioned on this particular show that I was raised by a village of black women, and specifically the three most influential people in my lives were my mom, mm-hmm. my grandma Peaches, who we've mentioned on the show, and great grandma Ernestine, who this is all named after. And yeah, y'all were three biggest influences in my life for sure, and all black women. And in addition to that, I have a slew of aunts,
Yes.
Most of which aren't related to me by blood, but we adopt people that bring joy into our lives as a family. So these are women that are close friends of my mom and also my grandma as well. And these are aunts who host holiday dinners every year, aunts who bend over backwards to help other members of our family, aunts who bought my first pair of Jordans.
Love that.
Who bought the only Prince brought me my ticket to the only Prince concert that I ever had the honor of attending before he passed. And then also aunts who babysat me before I could even talk. Mm-hmm. And who let me stay with them during summer breaks from grade school as well. And in particular, the one name that I want to uplift is my auntie Nicole, who fell under those two categories of the Prince tickets, because she contributed to that.
And the
Jordans, yeah. And who also just was one of my favorite human beings to ever walk this earth, and a big influence on my life, and just one of the most positive and happy people that I have ever had the pleasure of being around. So
right on, I agree with you on that.
So rest in peace to her. And I share these memories to say that as a cisgender straight black man, black women are my comfort zone. There's no place where I feel more comfortable than when I'm with a black woman, especially the ones that I'm related to, mm-hmm. or just have good relationships with, or just a group of black women as well. Like, it's so funny. I find myself at the family functions, like all the guys might be sitting in the living room watching sports, and if there's not a chair, if it's not a game I don't want to watch, or there's not an extra seat or whatever, like, I don't feel weird about going into the other room with all the women that are also at the function. I feel really comfortable being in there,
talking to them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's definitely because I was raised by a village of black women who had such a major influence on my life and contributing to the person that I am today. And it's just crazy how things from our childhood have this direct impact on us as adults, you know.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I've been telling you that for many years.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
But it's even crazier to like now then get to that point and realize
what right, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so what really made me come to this realization as of late is but during my search for a therapist. Mm-hmm. And I was doing that in order just to be proactive about my mental health. And I started at a free resource through my 9-to-5, where I had a white male counselor, and that was just okay. Like, I felt like, and I knew that there were some shared experiences that was missing there.
Yes.
That
mm-hmm.
made it hard for me to connect with him. So I started to look for a black therapist. I found a black male therapist, but I wasn't really feeling his social media presence. I don't know. I wasn't picking up what he was putting down. I wasn't really vibing with that guy,
Right.
even though I didn't have a chance to meet him in person. But it was just the social interactions that
he
were
put out there.
Yeah. And so eventually I got a very trusted recommendation from a black woman for another wonderful black woman who I now work with, and she is my therapist and life coach, named Patrice Lucas. I will definitely put her information in the show notes as well. I've been suggesting people to her pretty much nonstop since I started going to see her.
All right.
And I have to say that her presence in my life has definitely made a major difference. Like, I feel 1,000 times better and healthier seeing her twice a month than I did before our first session back in November.
All right. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I just think that the healing work that I've been doing might not have been as effective, if it wasn't with a black woman. And so, yeah, that's a pretty basic summary of my past with black women. And there's some dating stuff in there too, because there were definitely some years when I thought black women would never be interested in me romantically outside. But eventually I came to terms with the fact that the women who weren't interested in me, who I was, approaching or whatever, just weren't checking for me personally.
Right.
And that I shouldn't carry that past baggage forward into new relationships.
That's definitely true for all of us.
Yeah,
yes,
for sure.
That's right.
That was just one of the areas where I struggled with that, definitely.
All right.
And that mindset change has definitely proven to be fruitful to me. And yeah, I now have come to terms with the fact that of course, just because you're attracted to them, they're not going to be attracted to you. And that's more on an individual basis than it is like one big group of person. It's not or one big group of people, I should say. So yeah, that was a moment of nostalgia, and thank you for joining us. What up, doe, and welcome to episode 2 of Message from Ernestine. We're happy you're here for today's message. I go by the name LB.
And I'm Michelle, his mom.
And we are a black mother and son duo from the legendary city of Detroit. We gather here weekly to honor the memory of my great-grandmother Ernestine, who bestowed wisdom on us that we now want to share with the world.
All right.
We keep it all the way real during our discussions on current events and various issues that we all deal with as human beings. We also provide advice and tell personal stories, all from the viewpoint of Generation Y. That's me. Shout out to the millennials. And Generation X. And my mom.
That's us. Hey.
If you'd like to follow along with our conversation on social media, tag us at msgfrmernestine and use the hashtag, which is spelled the exact same way. Also use hashtag PodIn. That's a now listening hashtag that'll help other people find our show, because it's specifically a hashtag for shows that are produced by people of color. We'll retweet, respond, and all that good stuff. So let's get connected. Now, let's start with Tell Me Something Good.
Tell me something. Oh, okay. Tell me.
It would be nice if we could use that song, right?
I know.
Tell Me Something Good is our self-reflection segment where we celebrate the positive things that have happened in our lives during the past week. And mine sounds like you wanted to talk about some food. Something good.
Yes, indeed. Food is my thing this week because it was my sister friend Tracy's birthday. We had some wonderful food this week, and I wanted to talk about that. We had foil packages made by a friend of ours, Felicia's Catering. She made the foil package with wonderful, tender, mouth-watering steaks and potatoes and corn and a beautiful tossed salad. And then for her birthday, we actually went to the restaurant J. Alexander's, where all the food is excellent. I tell you, if you have not been, you need to go. And they have the best martinis ever.
Cool. So my something good this week is actually related to me talking about therapy, and it's something that I learned from therapy. I was just very patient with myself this week. Our last episode basically got posted. The video got posted yesterday and today. There were some technical difficulties, and then also earlier in the week, my body was just really tired, so I was going to bed earlier instead of forcing myself to work. And I felt good about that. Like I wasn't putting pressure on myself to get everything out perfect,
Right.
in perfect timing, and you know, to be perfect, and like I'm setting my own schedule with this stuff anyway. So I was able to have patience with myself going through that process instead of trying to rush it or forcing myself to lose sleep and then still trying to go to work and all that good stuff. So yeah, patience is definitely something good for the week.
And that's beautiful. Definitely need to use that for yourself.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. All right, so now we're going to talk about what's going on. So what's going on is our news and current events segment, and I'm going to start this off today talking about something that's a little sad, a loss of life with LA rapper Nipsey Hussle. And I say rapper because that's the thing that he's the most well known for. It's kind of like how he became famous. Like I literally remember him being on the 2010 XXL freshman rappers magazine cover. Okay. I have it around here somewhere. I would look for it last week like a crazy person, but
couldn't find it.
Yeah. But anyways, that's what he was most known for.
Okay.
And so that's how you identify him, you know. But like he was a lot more than just a rapper. So much more.
Yeah, I learned a lot about him after his passing.
Yeah, because a lot of people didn't know a lot of the stuff that he was doing. You had to really have been like following his career or just be connected to that world, because a lot of the stuff you see it on social media, because you know, like the positive things that happen in our neighborhoods aren't always highlighted, or rarely highlighted for that matter, to the general public. But anyways, he was a community leader. He was an educator. He was just someone who cared about people other than himself. His mission was bigger than himself. He preached economic empowerment. He talked about entrepreneurship. He was being intentional about creating a space where he could connect kids from his neighborhood to Silicon Valley. So Silicon Valley, I don't know if you know what that means. But
I do know what that means, even though I hated kindergarten.
So yeah, he was intentional about creating a space to make that connection. He started businesses and was hiring his homeboys, and he was also working with the LAPD to try to come up with some solutions to gang violence and a lot of things of that nature. Amen. And he was really a revolutionary who was out here doing good for the community, not just for himself, because you know there's a lot of people who come from those kinds of communities, make it big, and then they don't reach back into the community.
Yeah, they were going over how much he did.
Yeah. It was a lot. It was a lot. So that was a hard thing for not just the hip hop community, but the black community in the world, to lose a soul and a human being like that.
Oh yeah. Definitely. I felt it. I had no idea who he was.
Yeah.
But just when I was riding into work and heard what happened, and then they started talking about his background, and I'm like, wow. A human being who was out here doing right and trying to make everything better for his community and working so hard at that, and from where he had came from. Yeah. And they were telling his story, I was like, wow, that's just a blessing. Yeah. So his soul and what his work will live on. Definitely. And
definitely. Yeah.
I hope they keep it going.
Yeah, for sure.
They keep it going.
One of his themes was always about the marathon. So R.I.P. to Nipsey Hussle, and the marathon continues.
All right. Rest in peace.
So another thing we'll talk about that isn't necessarily the most positive thing in the world. Is what was supposed to be. Virgil really just wants to be on the show today. We've been having some difficulty, haven't we? So other thing we'll talk about is what was supposed to be the third topic during what's going on last week was Cardi B drugging men and robbing them, or like basically that coming back up to the surface, because that was an old video. I don't know if you know this, but that video was like 2 or 3 years old when it came back out. Okay. And so one thing that we can establish right now straight off the back is that yes, that's a crime, and it's not an okay thing to do. It is not encouraged. But the one thing that I wanted to say today specifically was that we need to stop comparing her to Bill Cosby and other sexual abusers, because while no crime is better or worse than another,
exactly,
per se, or no wrongdoing onto other people's is better or worse than another, like, that's just not the same caliber of things. Like, they're just two very completely different things, and I can't believe that y'all are really out here like
comparing her
to him. Like, he is a monster. You know, and like that man that we talked about last week that I had him on my shirt, but I'm choosing to not say his name anymore today, because you say someone's name, you give them power. So refusing not to go too deep into that. But
yeah, I totally agree with you on that. What she did was absolutely wrong, but to compare her to Bill Cosby, there's no comparison.
Yeah.
You know.
So stop making that comparison, y'all. Like, it's just not even, it's unfair and not the same. So we're going to do a little bit more uplifting news this week, because I know last week was all kind of like some negative stuff as well, per se. And so one thing we're going to talk about here is Old Town Road, one of the hottest songs in the streets right now. So it's basically this rapper, I guess you'll call him. I don't know what exactly he wants. He'll what kind of artist he'll be, because this was his first song. But he created this country trap song, and for those of you who don't know, trap is an extension of rap music, basically, or a subgenre of rap music, I should say. And it's called Old Town Road, and it has a lot of country elements, but also some trap elements as well. He created the song. It was banging on the Billboard charts, country charts specifically, and then Billboard deemed it not country enough, so they took it off of the country charts. And then Billy Ray Cyrus stepped in and said, I've been following what's been going on, and I do want to get on the remix. And one thing I forgot to mention is Lil Nas X is the artist name of the original song. He put the song out in December. In January, he put a video out that went viral where he was literally asking Billy Ray Cyrus to be on the...
Ooh! Watch it. Virgil is destroying our set.
So yeah, he put that video out in January where he was asking Billy Ray Cyrus to be on the remix. And then now here we are, March, April, and Billy Ray Cyrus hopped on the remix, and it's fire. Like,
yeah, he just gave it to me. I never even heard of any of this.
Yeah,
it's
so you
wonderful.
listened to the original and the remix, and so you liked both. And you're more of a country fan than I am in general. So
old school country.
I know you like the older stuff.
School.
Yeah.
I like some new stuff too, but I'm really old school.
Yeah. But what I thought was really cool about What I thought was really cool about Billy Ray Cyrus hopping on the remix was just that, like, he didn't have to do that, right? Like, here is this young black artist that has nothing to do with Billy Ray, who's coming into his genre and creating like an evolved version of country by combining it with another genre. And he could have just sided with Billboard, chose to ignore it, or whatever the case may be, but he decided to hop on the remix. And it was cool because also, I don't know if you remember this, but the Billboard did the same thing to him with Achy Breaky Heart, which you know is his biggest hit.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know that.
They took him off the country charts because it was so different than the rest of the country music, and they said that it wasn't country enough or whatever.
Oh, okay. Well, he fixed the masses,
right? Like
him and Miley while we playing.
She had nothing to do with this.
I know that, but I love her too.
Okay. Anyways, I'm not going into that, but she came and she decided she was going to hop into the hip hop genre and appropriate for profit, but that's not what her father was doing. So that's what we're talking about today. He came. So anyways, I thought that was really cool. Like, he didn't have to do that. He could have ignored all of this, honestly.
Right. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. I agree with you. That's wonderful. Yeah.
And the other point I want to make too is that, country music is actually the grandchild, is what I'm calling it, of African spirituals. So African spirituals is what influenced blues music. Blues influenced country as well as folk folk music that influenced country. So it's just kind of cool to see this like ancestral full circle shit that Lil Nas X
Oh yeah, I like
created
that. I like
by,
that. I like the way you just put that all together.
Yeah, it just made sense. And it's funny, I had to do some research because I was very curious to see like what our imprint as a community was on country music. So I was able to find that information and just kind of like combine it together, and it was just really cool.
Yeah. I just learned a lot. Word on.
Yeah. So the last thing we'll talk about, and something that we haven't covered on the show yet, is that like we both love movies. I don't know how that hasn't come up yet, but I guess we've been talking about some more serious topics. But maybe it was mentioned. I can't fully
the
remember.
First episode, because I caught myself.
Oh yeah, we talked about how we're blurs and stuff. But movies is definitely like the medium that we like to consume through the most between both of us.
Right.
And so we want to talk about a couple movies that are out right now that we've both seen. And so I'll start. I saw Shazam actually 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to see it for a second time tonight. Shazam is a DC hero, and that is based in the same universe as Batman, Wonder Woman, and then so Aquaman as well, and the Justice League and all that good stuff. And
that's the one Shaq played at first, right?
No, different movie.
Oh man, I messed it up.
It wasn't. It's not based on the same character. He played. I think the name of that movie was what was the name of that movie?
Oh my God, you sure?
It might have been called Shazam, but it's not the same character.
Okay. Because I knew it was called Shazam. I'm like,
Oh, his movie was called Kazam. That's
Kazam. Okay. Close. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. That was wonderful.
Yeah, that movie was fun. I remember watching it back in the day. So Shazam is basically the story of a kid named Billy Batson who gets endowed with these powers where he says the word Shazam and he becomes, because he's like a 13-year-old kid, I think, and he becomes this like big, strong superhero that is basically Superman with some power differences. And there's some other details to the story, but I
heard it got a really good storyline also. Like it looks well. They were saying it's a really good family movie, not just for, kids. It's for the parents. Also got a very good storyline.
Yes. Yep. And so I would agree with that as someone who's seen it and is going to see it again. And also, it was just really cool to see Mark Strong back in the comic book genre. That was just a lot of fun. And also, like, it's just honestly like that movie so far in 2019 and for a while that I can think of, that's the most fun I've had at the movie theater watching that movie. Like, it's really enjoyable. Like, it's really funny. Like, I laugh 75% of the time.
I'm about to check it out.
And it's just really cool. Like, I like action movie. I like comedy. And to see him combine that way in a superhero was really, really dope. And also, like, I've known about this hero for so long, as someone who reads comic books and watches the cartoons and all that good stuff. Like, they did a really good job of bringing him to life in a way that people can relate to Billy as kids, and then also like his family, essentially, because he is a foster kid. And so also the youngest sister in his foster family is played by the younger daughter from This Is Us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Randall's daughter.
Okay.
Whose name I'm blanking on right now. But, but she was really good in it. And the cast is just the cast is great. Like, it's just a really fun movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah,
and I
we're
would
definitely going to
suggest
put this on your other podcast.
Yeah. Okay, so Ma, what's the movie that you want to talk about?
The Best of Enemies with Taraji in it, and what'd you say? Lord, I can't think.
Taraji P. Henson.
Taraji P. Henson,
and then Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell
is the guy
is
who
excellent.
acts opposite of her.
I went to go see that, and I started out a little angry because it is about racism, and then I ended up crying in the end because in the end they both came together and worked together, and by it being such a true story, and then the interviews in the end and everything, and it was wonderful. I advise everyone to go see it. Black, white, green, yellow. Everyone needs to see this movie. This is something that could uplift us all at this particular moment and what's going on in the world, and it would uplift us, and it's something to think about, that we need to really get to this place and work on getting it was wonderful working on getting this unity. There it is. Thank you.
I haven't seen the movie
yet. Help me out with so many
but,
words, and I really appreciate that.
Oh yeah,
but,
for sure.
Yeah, unity.
I know what you meant.
Unity. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah,
it was Both of them were very strong characters.
Yeah.
Very.
And so that movie in particular is about a woman named Anne Atwater. And I can't remember. You remember what city it's in? I'm drawing a blank.
Oh Lord,
on
I
that.
can't. It's down south though somewhere.
Okay, I know it was down south.
Yeah.
And this was
and
like
a true story. Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure this was happening when during the part of civil rights movement where we were fighting for
the schools to
school
be combined.
integration.
And school
Yep.
immigration.
Or integration.
Integration,
Yeah.
yeah. And you know what's so funny?
Yeah.
Do you know that happened to us?
What?
That we got
integration. Oh yeah, I know that happened. Oh,
we got busted. Yeah.
I want to talk about that on the show at some point.
Yeah, that
because
was crazy.
you and I have never like talked about your experience with that.
Yeah.
But that's what the movie was about. And Anne Atwater was an advocate in her whatever the town was. It's Durham, North Carolina.
Yeah, that's
There we
it.
go.
That's
Okay.
it right there.
One of the big universities is there. That's where Duke or UNC is. I want to say that's where Duke is. I'm almost positive.
Okay.
But anyways,
I don't know about.
but anyways, yeah. So Anne Atwater was an advocate for school integration, and then opposite was her, Sam Rockwell's character, whose name I'm drawing a blank on, who again was a real person, but he was the leader of the Ku
PJ.
Klux.
It's a PJ. I think it's PJ.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was the leader.
PK. I got it. PK.
yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So he was the leader of the Ku Klux Klan in his city. And so, yeah, that's the basic summary of it. And just like going through the process and like the things that happened in their town during like trying to get the schools integrated, and
Right.
Anne Atwater being an advocate and a civil rights leader, really.
Exactly.
So I haven't watched the movie. I know I mentioned that already, but I want to say it again before I go on to my next point here. But what I've been reading is that it's more of a white savior movie, which white savior.
I disagree.
That's
Sorry.
fine. Yeah, that makes sense. And like I've only read like one article, so like I want to see it for myself and see how I feel about it. But white saviors is basically this terminology, and again another buzzword that you can look into further. But my summary of it would be basically that, and it's in film where the story is supposed to be centered on like a black story, black experience, but there is a white character or person, because again, this was a real story, that becomes more of a focus and becomes like the person who is either like saving all the black people or the black people that are a part of the story, or like that what was my other point? I can't remember where I was going, but but white savior is basically like a character who comes in and becomes too much of a focus in the movie. And I know when I mentioned that to you, what were you saying about how you felt about?
I felt that they both were very instrumental and very important in this movie. And as again, seeing the interviews afterwards of who he was and who she was and how they combined and what happened is awesome. And I don't look at it as one of those type of movies. I said, right. I definitely would not want people going out to think that's what you're going to see. It was a beautiful movie, a beautiful story, beautiful true story.
Yeah.
And again, in my opinion, it's something that right now we could use.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they both was the shit. Let me say that.
I mean, he was a KKK leader.
He ended up in the end. See, this is where we come where people change. People can change. Who he was horrible before that.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's the part I wanted to make sure we acknowledge.
Yes, acknowledge that he was horrible before that.
Right.
But she was tearing that ass up. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely want to see it.
Oh my God, go see it, because I say this all the time, and I'm going to say it here. A simple kindness, you never know what it would do for somebody's life.
Yeah.
You never know.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. And then, so another example of like a white savior movie that is out there is Hidden Figures, which I didn't realize that there was a white savior in that movie, because I didn't realize that Kevin Costner's character did not exist in real life.
Shut up.
Yeah. So he was created for the movie.
Oh, God, I'm so glad you know this stuff.
Yeah.
Because I know they said that some of it was made up.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of those based on a true story movies, they elaborate on a lot of stuff for a better cinematic experience.
But even true movies, they do elaborate a little.
I'm talking
to make
about specifically
it more.
on movies that are based on a true story. Like most of the time they elaborate a lot more. Whereas like, for example, but there are also examples where like you can create those movies and still have a great cinematic experience and a great film. And Selma is that example. Like Ava Duvernay, who I'm actually talking about later. I swear I talk about her all the time.
Is the bomb.
I know, but
Selma was the bomb. Right.
that story was 99. That movie was 99%.
Now I do remember reading and hearing about that.
Yeah. There's a graphic that's out there somewhere. If I can find it, I'll throw it in the show notes. But no promises, because it was hard for me to find the first time and second time that I found it. But there's a graphic out there that shows like the percentage of different. I
think I've seen that graphic. Actually,
I think I sent it to you.
Yeah, I think you sent that to me. Yeah.
Since we talked about movies and stuff, so. All right, cool. So that'll be it for what's going on. And now that we're all caught up on what's going on, we're going to move on to today's message. If you haven't figured it out by now, today's message is about what Black women mean to us. And so I'll just start this off with the question for you, Mother. So what does being a Black woman mean to you?
Oh my God. Everything. Everything. I love being a Black woman. I don't even know how I could say that. I love who I am. I love the way I look. I love myself. I love the strength that we have, that I learned that we have, not just me, but all of us. Most women have strength. I want to say that, but ours come from so deep rooted, things that we're taught to be strong, and I love it.
Yeah. And so other thing that I would say is that so we create these spaces to talk about things that we want to. So I agree with you that like all women have strength, but we are here specifically to focus on Black women.
Oh yeah, I got you.
So I just wanted to like throw that out there, because I know there are a lot of times when
that's why I say ours is different. Ours is but I say that not like to come at you or anything. No, I got you.
I think it's important to pull those points out, because there are people who come into situations that like it's a space where you're focused on a particular group of people, and they're like, well, why am I not represented? Well, because we're uplifting this group today.
Right, exactly.
If you want to create
today,
if you want, we're allowing you to be here, but like if you want to create an event where we talk about all of these different people, you know what I mean? You can do that.
Oh, I got you.
But it's important.
Cut me up, y'all.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm just playing.
This is more just like for everyone.
I got you.
It's definitely just more for everyone. And the other thing too that I wanted to pull out that you mentioned was the strength part, which I think is like super important and like definitely a characteristic that Black women carry that I think is very relevant. But I think another thing that we have to put a focus on and encourage more is like Black women being okay with feeling vulnerable as well.
Oh,
because, because there's also this part. There's been such a heavy focus on like strong Black women and like upholding that like sometimes like the vulnerability and the necessity to be vulnerable gets pushed to the side, you know. I think it's important to bring up the fact that like Black women should feel empowered to be vulnerable, because sometimes like they need to be taken care of and things of that nature, because like because Black women have done such a great, have always been like such great advocates for everything, like, and have been such like pillars for their communities and their families, that sometimes they get, not sometimes, often they get forgotten and just kind of like treated as people that are just, these are things you're just supposed to do, right? But like, but the things that they are doing and the things that they are achieving and the way that they are leading their families and their households and things of that nature are exceptional, and it's important to acknowledge that, and also acknowledge that those people have just as much of a right to take a step back and like focus more on themselves and to be vulnerable and all that good stuff.
Right. So, and breathe.
Definitely another side of that that's just as important to pull out, in addition to pointing out the strength. And so a couple of things that I wanted to talk about specifically, I wanted to mention that like Black women are like in general trendsetters that shape the mainstream culture. There's literally a Nielsen report. So Nielsen is this company that like is an official.
Yeah, I know what they are.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
I know a little bit. Even though I'm like,
sorry, I didn't know.
I'm just playing.
I know like they get used in the academic world very often, so that's how I learned about them. So I didn't know that if like.
Oh, okay.
Where
when you're a couch potato, you know about
a lot of stuff.
No, you know about Nielsen.
That's fair. Oh yeah, because they do the TV reports too. I forgot about that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So sorry, I wasn't like trying to over-explain something.
No, you know.
So I know you know that.
Yeah.
But I want you to know. I want you to hear me say those words.
Yeah.
And so they actually did a report, and I can't remember all the numbers, but like it's out there. I'll throw the link in the show notes again. But where they specifically had numbers to prove how important black women are to mainstream culture. But that's something that y'all already know, because like look at how like all these women in other cultures want to use y'all's hairstyle without giving you credit, want to make their bodies look like black women, like basically want to enhance their bodies to look like black women, essentially want to have tans, to have browner skin.
It fascinates me, I swear to God.
Me too. I've had this conversation so many times.
What did I say?
That don't matter. We're here to talk about black women
I'm sorry.
Today. We'll talk about that off air.
Off air. Okay.
But yeah, black women are trendsetters. I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that, but
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that.
And then I also mentioned how black women have always been on the front lines of change and fighting for the rights and like uplifting their families and being providers in a way that y'all don't get credit for. You know what I mean? Like, there's always the joke of like, these like gender roles of like these old school gender roles, really.
Very
like,
old school.
That
holla at that.
That the man is supposed to be the provider and the one who brings home the bacon and all that good stuff. But like, even in those roles, like women were providing for families in other ways, like taking care of the kids counts, carrying the kids, like giving birth to children are things that all matter, and that black women do with style and grace. And what else does I have? Oh, another point that I wanted to say on that one is that like black women started Black Lives Matter. A black woman founded the Me Too movement as well. So like, again, those are just two examples, and there's thousands of others across the world, not just in this country.
Okay.
Of how powerful black women truly are.
Okay. Wonderful. I agree with you.
You have nothing else to add?
No. We are the shit.
And a couple other things too that I wanted to add is that like I consider black women to be a physical representation of what's opposite of the European standards of beauty, that no woman in general should feel obligated to live by. Like I see black women who are beautiful, in all different shades, all different body sizes. And I think that's just a beautiful thing that like we have all these different skin tones that like all fall under the same umbrella of beauty. Really. Yeah. What else you got there?
I like that. You on the road.
You don't have to just let me roll. I know
you. Hey, I can't do nothing but say holla, amen. You know what you're talking about?
Yeah. But yeah, and I bring up the whole like opposite of European beauty standards thing is because like in this country in particular, and you know what, I shouldn't even just say this country, because like we see it across the world where like people who are lighter skinned are called fair skinned or like considered to be more beautiful. But like I love that I've seen in the past, maybe even 10 years at this point, like, and that might even be too long, but like definitely in the past like 5, 6, 7 years, like this surge of this more concentration on black beauty, of all different shades, and all different hairstyles, including natural hair. And so I love seeing black women like continuing to support and encourage each other that way. It's just a very, really beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is. I love that too. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. And so the next thing that I wanted to mention is that like black women are this magical representation of versatility that we should all strive to maintain. And that like stretches not just from like hair and style, but also personalities. Like, you know, black women can be like ratchet to, you know, businesswoman, and or you could be both, right? Like one woman could literally have moments of being both, or like just be
definitely,
both and
definitely.
combined. And you know, you go from because you have all these different personality types, from like your city girls to Lauryn Hill to Michelle Obama. You know, you got the artistic, you got the businesswoman, you have the women who also just like to get out here and twerk. And have fun with their friends,
right?
And I think we need to stop telling women what they can and cannot do with their bodies, and encourage them.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, encourage women to feel empowered to do whatever brings them joy. Like if it is being out here twerking on social media and doing it for yourself and for your friends, like what I would say that I would encourage basically is just like do the things that bring you joy. Do the things that bring you joy because they bring you joy. You know, and I would never encourage women to do anything for the male gaze or like do anything for men's attention. Like do things that do it for yourself. Do it for yourself.
Do it for yourself.
And that's what I would encourage, instead of just being out here saying like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that on social media. You shouldn't show as much cleavage or whatever the case may be, because a woman has a right to do whatever the hell she wants with her body that she owns. And something that I learned from Grandma Peaches that she told me is there's only two things, and she said this as a black woman, that like there's only two things that she has to do in this life, is be black and die. Those are the only two things that she absolutely has to do. So outside of that, like, you know, make your own rules. Like you don't have to live by society standards or by anyone else's standards. Like don't be so focused on like what other people think that like you do things that you don't want to. Right. Basically. And I see a lot of black women out here living that way and encouraging each other to do that. Chani is an example of that. It's just a very beautiful thing. And I want black women to continue to do that. And I'm glad that wherever that started, like whoever it started with, like I'm glad that it was started, and I'm glad that black women are doing that and continuing to fix each other's crowns instead of knock them off each other's heads.
Oh, I love that. I agree with that, because I'll say this. I'm one of those women, if I see a young, old, whatever, if I see something that I like on you, your hair, your shoes, your purse, I compliment you. A lot of women don't believe in doing that because it's uplifting, because you got dressed this morning looking at yourself, you really liked what you had on, or you liked your hair. And I want you to know somebody else likes it. And it's beautiful. You look beautiful. And I would say something that I'm trying to not learn how to do, but like something that I'm trying to like, not the courage, I can't find the words right now, but like something I'm trying to get better at, I guess, is like taking those opportunities when like I see a woman who I'm not necessarily trying to approach or I'm not trying to flirt with, but like that I want to give a compliment. Because sometimes like I honestly have felt like afraid to like just give a woman a compliment without them assuming that there's going to be ill intent. And something that I've come to realize is that like there is a way to do it, you know, just be nice and courteous when you say it, and like some women are going to receive it and others won't, but like at least like I was able to give that compliment. Like I want to do that more often. Like I want to share those thoughts with black women and like give them words of encouragement from my perspective as a black man, because I know there's not enough of us out here doing that. There's too many of us out here tearing black women down because they don't fit into this personality box of what we're is a preference for us, for example. Like I know there's a lot of black men that do that. I just had a really good, healthy conversation with another black man on Facebook about this the other day. But but anyways, like I know that's something that I want to work on. And like one thing that I do really appreciate is like when because it's been happening more recently where I will share that kind of insight with a woman about something I feel about them, and like and they don't like,
get on the defense or like attack me.
Yeah, because that's a way to say it nicely.
Yeah.
Even by me being a woman, I say it to another woman.
Yeah.
Even as a male, it's a way to say it nicely.
Yeah, for sure.
Feeling it.
Yeah.
Right on.
And I'm definitely trying to continue doing that because y'all fucking deserve it, because y'all are magical, you are beautiful, you are wonderful, and
thank you.
I will do anything that I can during my time on this earth to continue to uplift y'all.
All right. Appreciate it.
And I know one thing that I have been doing too that I want to shout out here, I guess, is, and this is not to give myself credit, but because I do it to educate and to uplift. So like I've been doing these Woman Crush Wednesdays on social media and also my blog. I stopped them for the past month or so because I'm trying to come up with another name, because Woman Crush Wednesday has its own connotation, but like I want to give it a name that specifically focuses on Black women. So hey, if y'all got a concept out there, let me know. But basically, like I've just been pulling out like women who I admire and just like listing off not just their achievements, but like qualities about them that are admirable and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're beautiful too.
Yeah, and that's been going. I really like that, and people, and I've had a lot of other Black women like specifically say that like they've enjoyed reading that and that they learned from it. So like I want to continue to do that in the most effective way. So yeah, thank you for those of you who have read those or whatever. Okay, so now, to close out today's message, we're going to talk about Black women that we admire, both personally and that we know personally and that we don't know. So we'll start off with Black women that we admire and know personally. And who do you want to talk about, Ma?
My mother, Peaches. She's a great human being. She's a great human being is one of my favorite things to say, because I think if you start there, life is even better.
100%.
She loves her community. She loves her family. She loves her friend. Everybody that knows her, I always say she knows thousands of people. Can't go nowhere where they don't know her or
Literally.
like her. Literally. And
Not a joke.
her strength is unbelievable. Like my son said, we all have, what's the word, vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Vulnerabilities. She has those, and she displays them, and not ashamed of them. Just great. Just awesome woman. Black woman. My mom is just the shit.
Yeah. So it's funny because in our notes, my spot's blank because there's just so many. Like again, I opened today's episode talking about a lot of the Black women who had such major influences on my life. There's so many ways I can go with that, and like I feel like I talk about you on this show a lot, so I'm not going to go with you. But like,
I thought it was me.
I mean,
no, I'm just playing.
You know how much I admire.
I'm just clowning you.
Like, there's a reason why we're having this whole show.
Exactly. I'm just messing with you.
But I feel like I put a lot of focus on you, so I want to uplift another family member of ours.
Oh, do it.
Who is no longer with us, who died in 2007, I believe. So
oh man, yeah.
So her name was Frozine, but we all called her Sweetmeat.
Amen.
She was actually my cousin, but I called her my aunt. I don't know about how many of y'all out there who have that, but that she was one of those for me.
Yeah, they know about it.
Yeah,
it's the Black community.
yeah. She was the cousin of my grandma, first cousin of my grandma, and but they were more like sisters, so that's how she became Auntie Sweetmeat. She also fell under that category of one of the houses where I stayed at during the summer, and she's another one I learned a lot from. So we talked. In our first episode, we talked about
her mother.
Yeah, we talked about her mother, which is on our ring. And so yeah, Auntie Sweetmeat was. Definitely like one of the most important people, again, the most influential people in my upbringing. She was always like, her house was like the neighborhood house. Like she has kids, and like her kids' friends used to be over at the house all the time. I was over there every chance that I got. And she was also just so funny. And I know I've briefly mentioned in the past that like Grandma Ernestine was one of the people who taught me how to cuss. Auntie Sweetmeat was another one. And again, that's something that she also got from her mother and her aunt, which is Grandma Ernestine. And she was also just very encouraging in my life and uplifting, and I learned a lot of stuff from her. And like one of the stories I specifically remember was like I was staying with her for a summer, and then I was in a basketball camp, and I took some money to camp that day that I wasn't supposed to take, and I lost the money at camp, and then
oh wow, I didn't know this.
And then I lied about losing the money, and she eventually found out because I came clean, and she was just like, you know what, I don't like liars. And she had a really good conversation with me about like not lying, and like I learned my lesson basically at that point. And I have other stories like that about her, but again, she was just this loving, caring, strong Black woman, and despite her past, she was very intentional about being supportive of her family and the people that were around her. And I know we all miss her dearly.
Oh yes, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, we all miss her dearly. I remember that was a really, really tough time for all of us losing her.
She was a shining light in our lives.
Yeah, 100%. So now we'll move on to Black women that we admire but don't know personally. And so we'll talk about one person in depth. And then because we're starting to get short on time here, we'll just mention some other names that are our honorable mentions. So Ma, a little birdie told me that you like Oprah just a little bit.
Oh, a little birdie? I think I was the little birdie. Listen, Oprah Winfrey, like my mom, is the epitome of strength and vulnerability. Oprah Winfrey, just like my mom to me, I say this. I give honor to her like this. God, my mother, my grandmother, and all the women who surround me, and then Oprah Winfrey. She came from nothing to be a great human being, a person to look up to and to respect. Her teaching has not ended. Yeah. She is down for everyone, and she will change everyone's life if they have even listened, especially the Black community. Yeah. I tell my son this. I've been telling him this since he was a little kid, which is so funny. I watched Oprah from the moment she came on to the moment she went off. I'm still on OWN. Right. And I say this. If anyone had watched her like I did, it would change your life. You will learn everything you needed to know to help you build a better life. Yeah. Because she left no question unturned. Yeah. She taught us unbelievable things we didn't even want to know, things we don't want to talk about, which she still does to this day. Yeah. And I just love her for that. She just reminds me so much of the people in my family and who I was raised by. Yeah. You know, her teachings is unbelievable. Yeah. Everything she brought to the table and put on the table was for healing and better being for everybody to be better, for people to be healed, to realize what you need to know to get healed. Everything. Yeah. She's fucking awesome.
And also what I'll add there too is obviously I love and admire Oprah also, but the reason that I do is because you introduced her to me, and I jokingly tell people all the time, like, Oprah helped my mother raise me, like, literally. Oh yeah. Yeah, literally, like us watching those episodes together and like having discussions that she basically brought into our household through our TV, you know. And still does to this day, again, to your point. So someone else that the person I want to talk about specifically is Ava Duvernay, the filmmaker who made Selma that I mentioned earlier. She also made A Wrinkle in Time. She has a miniseries coming out on Netflix about the Central Park Five, and she also has a TV show called Queen Sugar. She is just so very intentional about creating opportunities for Black representation in TV and film as a filmmaker. Excuse me. And it's a beautiful thing. And like, she also is intentional about uplifting other Black female filmmakers. And she's just this strong. Oh, no worries. Don't apologize. You coughing. You got to get it out. Rather you cough than to sit there and suffer. Right. And she's just this wonderful, inspiring person that is very intentional about creating space for black women and women in general, and like fighting for them and advocating for them. And she just has these positive messages. And what's crazy is she didn't pick up a camera for the first time until she was 36.
I know. When I read that, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
There's still a chance for me.
For real, it's never too late.
For real, it's never too late.
It's never too late to change your life and pursue your passion. And she pushes that message, and she pushes so many positive messages. Just she really does. And and if you follow me on social media, you know how much I admire her, because she was the first Woman Crush Wednesday I did. I talk about her all the time and retweet and share her stuff all the time. But just like another fun fact about her is just like her show Queen Sugar. Her show Queen Sugar, she only hires black female directors.
Oh, that's wonderful. I think I heard that too, read that too.
I can't remember if it was just for that one season or in general, but I know that that's been a concentration of hers. And she also has a organization that promotes and helps to uplift and create space in TV and film for movies and TV shows that are created by black people and about black people, and that organization is called Array, if you want to look into it. Very interesting. And she's just this wonderful light in the world that I love following her and being able to witness everything that she's doing and the history that she makes as a filmmaker. And I'm so excited for her to direct her first comic book movie. She's doing a DC movie called New Gods.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. I'm really, really excited for that. I'm excited for everything that she does. I'm excited for every time that she talks, but
that's wonderful.
But yeah, so let's run through our honorable mentions. So who are your 3 honorable mentions?
Oh, yes. Let's see. Ayanna Van Zant is the real deal. I don't know if you all are watching her show, but if you are not, you need to be.
Yeah.
She brings it to you straight truth, okay? Michelle Obama, wonderful.
Most admired woman in the world.
Yes. Oh my God.
For a reason.
She's just so cool. She's, they cool, period. I don't know how to, they're awesome. And then I haven't read her new book, but I've read so much about it, so many articles, and watched so many interviews of her.
The only reason you haven't watched, and the only reason you haven't read it is because you're reading Ayanna Van Zant's book.
Yeah.
And then who's your third one?
Beyonce. I want to say this. I have to say this. I don't just love her because of her music. I love her because who she is. She is that deal. And she really let all of us know how she's that deal and her husband's that deal.
Yeah.
When they put out that stuff last year or whatever year it was, when they did Lemonade, they brought the truth to you.
Yeah, for sure.
And baby, Lemonade, she explained everything. The last album too,
the
and in Lemonade, she let us know that she's just like us.
Yeah.
I say this. I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to let you say yours. We all love stars and admire them, but when you think about it, they're just human beings with more money, more cameras on them.
Yep.
So they're no better than us because they're all simple human beings wanting the same things that we want.
Yeah.
So that's what you got to think about when you think about them and looking, but I love her because she let us know.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's admirable about her is that like she blew up the way that she did, and she could have just kept making superficial music, but she decided to start making music with a message.
Yes.
Female empowerment, black woman empowerment in general. And honestly, that was my favorite. I saw the On the Run 2 tour this year with her and Jay-Z, which is my 3rd time seeing Jay-Z, 1st time seeing Beyonce. I'll never miss another Beyonce concert in my life. Beyonce, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I'm missing out.
I'm glad I finally got to see her too. Yeah, I didn't see them together. I want to do that eventually, but I definitely was so happy when I seen her.
Yeah. But yeah, so my 3, of course, all 3 of mine are in film, and I didn't realize that until right now. But my first one is Ruthie Carter. She's a costume designer who has been in the film industry for 30 years, I believe. She's done a lot of movies with Spike Lee, I think 12. I
read about her.
Yeah, she was one of my Woman Crush Wednesdays.
That's why. Yeah. Okay, I'm getting a lot of reading from you.
And she is most recently well known for doing all the costumes for Black Panther. That's her most recent highlight. Okay. But she also has just been such a big influence in Black TV and film as a costume designer for all these years, and I'm so glad that she is now getting recognized for that. And then my next one is Issa Rae, who is the creator, producer, writer for she might not be the producer, don't quote me on that, but anyways, for the TV show Insecure on HBO, and she has a lot of other projects, and that she's in films as well, including Little, which is coming out next weekend.
Yeah,
so excited!
Yeah, that looks very good.
Yeah, so excited to see that. But Issa, what I admire about her is that she is this. She is very intentional about creating material that highlights like the modern day Black women's experiences, and just Black experiences in general. So I admire her for that. And then my third one is Lena Waithe, who is the don't get me wrong if I'm wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure she is a lesbian. But she's a filmmaker who she's a film and TV maker, and also an actor. And she's also very intentional about creating space and opportunities for Black representation in TV and film. And she's also just very unapologetic in her queerness, I guess is the word I'm going to use. And the way that she dresses, and like she doesn't conform to gender roles as far as attire. And I just think that's dope. And I just think that she's also just this very encouraging and inspiring person. All these women are that we've talked about, including our family members and you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you.
But yeah, I that's Lena Waithe, basically like a little summary about her.
Okay.
So, you had anything else about what Black women mean to you?
Everything.
There it is. So that'll do it for today's message. If you enjoyed the show, please rate, like, subscribe, or follow wherever you're listening or watching us on video. Follow us on social media at msgfrmernestine on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can join our conversation or share this podcast with your friend, or share this podcast with your friends by tagging us on social media and using our hashtag, which is spelled the exact same way as our social handle. And also use the hashtag PodIn as well. We also accept topic suggestions, so that's a good place to submit those. So please feel free to do that. And you can check out the show notes for links to our social media as well. And yeah, the last thing that I got here is that we're not announcing who won the movie tickets this episode, because the previous episode just got posted yesterday and today, basically. So the other thing I want to say with that is just that, like, we're working on getting on a better schedule. This stuff takes time, and I'm doing I'm making sure everything gets recorded and edited and like posted all on my own, because I don't have a team of folks to help me with that yet. So like, y'all just be patient with me as I work through this. But we are getting there. And this will be more routine, and we will be releasing things a lot quicker moving forward. I'm doing everything in my power to make it more convenient for y'all to get to hear from us. So
you're doing a wonderful job.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm being patient with myself and allowing it all to happen. But I just want to let y'all know that, like, I know, and I'm working on it. So that's all for us. We hope you'll join us next week, where we'll be back with another message from Ernestine. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Peace and love.
Peace and love. LB out.